Hannah Kim stepped out of the black luxury sedan parked in front of La Lumiere, one of Paris's most exclusive French-Japanese fusion restaurants. Dressed impeccably in a custom-designed suit, she exuded quiet elegance and confidence. Her dark hair was neatly styled, and her sharp eyes held the weight of countless boardroom battles and strategic wins. Hannah had built a technology empire from the ground up, defying countless stereotypes and overcoming obstacles along the way. Today, however, was meant to be a rare evening of leisure. After months of tireless work, Hannah had been looking forward to enjoying the culinary masterpieces of La Lumiere, a restaurant she'd heard praised for its innovative fusion of flavors and artistry. Beside her was Mei Li, her assistant and close confidant, who had meticulously arranged the reservation over a month in advance. As they entered the opulent restaurant, adorned with sleek chandeliers and minimalist decor, Hannah felt a wave of discomfort settle in her chest. She was accustomed to the cautious glances and the subtle judgment in such high-end establishments. Despite her success, she was always aware that, to some, she would never fit the image of a typical elite diner. "Are you ready?" May asked with a reassuring smile. Hannah returned the smile, pushing aside her unease. "Absolutely. Let's enjoy this evening." They approached the reception desk where a young woman with perfectly coiffed hair and a polished demeanor greeted them with a practiced, restrained smile. "Good evening," Hannah said. "I have a reservation under Hannah Kim." The hostess's eyes flickered briefly, her polite smile faltering before she glanced at her computer screen. Her fingers tapped lightly, and within seconds, her demeanor shifted. "I'm terribly sorry," the hostess replied, her voice devoid of warmth. "But I don't see a reservation under that name." May's brows furrowed, and she stepped forward. "There must be some mistake. I confirmed the reservation just yesterday." The hostess glanced at May, her eyes flicking between Hannah and her assistant with an almost imperceptible look of disdain. "Unfortunately, we're fully booked tonight. There's nothing available." Hannah felt a familiar pang, a reminder of the countless times she'd been subtly dismissed, seen not as an influential entrepreneur, but merely as an Asian woman in spaces that seldom welcomed diversity. She held her composure, her face remaining calm and unreadable. "It's fine, May," she said softly, her tone measured. Turning to the hostess, she added, "Thank you for your time." As they turned to leave, May's frustration bubbled over. "Hannah, this is absurd. This isn't just a mistake. They're clearly treating us this way because—" "I know," Hannah interrupted, her voice calm but firm. "But making a scene isn't worth it. We don't need to waste our energy here." May looked at her with admiration mixed with frustration. "But you deserve better. Hannah, after everything you've achieved, you don't have to accept this." A small, determined smile tugged at the corner of Hannah's lips. "You're absolutely right, May, and we won't accept this." Her eyes sparkled with a quiet resolve. "We'll come back, but not as customers." May's eyes widened in surprise. "What do you mean?" Hannah's expression was unyielding. "If they don't want us as guests, then I'll return as their owner." Hannah Kim's plan took root that very night as she and May sat in a quiet cafe, sipping tea and discussing her next move. Hannah's calm demeanor had always been one of her greatest strengths, allowing her to tackle adversity with a level head and strategic foresight. She didn't react impulsively. She planned meticulously. The restaurant's refusal to seat her was a reminder of a world that still judged her by appearance rather than accomplishment, and she intended to change that. May watched her boss closely, her face reflecting a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "So, are you really going to buy La Lumiere?" May asked, half in disbelief, half in excitement. Hannah looked up from her tea, a small, knowing smile forming on her lips. "I've been in this industry long enough to know that appearances can be deceiving. A place like La Lumiere might look impeccable on the outside, but it doesn't mean it's not facing challenges." May's curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" "Just because they have a Michelin star doesn't mean they're financially sound. Maintaining that reputation costs money, money that doesn't always flow inconsistently." Hannah explained, Restaurants are high-risk businesses. Any slight downturn, even for a place as prestigious as La Lumiere, could lead to financial instability. May nodded, understanding. So the plan is to investigate their finances and, if they're in trouble, make them an offer they can't refuse? Hannah's eyes sparkled. Exactly. But we need to move quietly. If they know I'm the one behind the offer, they might refuse out of pride. We'll use intermediaries and work our way through the owners and key investors. The following day, Hannah set her plan in motion. She called upon her network of advisors and business associates, instructing them to begin discreet inquiries into La Lumiere's financial standing. Within days, her team uncovered that, as Hannah had suspected, the restaurant's financial situation was more precarious than its elegant facade suggested. It turned out that the restaurant had recently undergone an expensive renovation, and with an unpredictable flow of clientele and a highly demanding operational budget, they were struggling to keep up with the expenses. The Michelin star maintained their image but didn't guarantee profitability, especially when there were numerous other fine dining options in the city competing for the same elite clientele. Hannah's team got to work, carefully orchestrating an approach to the investors who held stakes in La Lumiere. Meetings were set up, proposals were drafted, and offers were quietly presented, all without revealing the identity of the potential buyer. Hannah wanted the restaurant's owners to view the deal as a lifeline rather than a hostile takeover. Weeks passed, and the negotiations progressed smoothly. Hannah's carefully designed plan was yielding results as the majority shareholders of La Lumiere showed interest in her offer. They were wary of selling a piece of their pride, but the financial relief and substantial offer were too tempting to ignore. During a late-night strategy meeting, May leaned over Hannah's desk, her face lit with excitement. "We're almost there. Hannah, they're close to agreeing. But are you sure you don't want them to know it's you behind this?" Hannah gave a thoughtful smile. "Not yet. There's a certain satisfaction in revealing my identity only once the papers are signed. This isn't just about the acquisition, it's about making a statement. And once I have control, I'll make sure the changes are implemented exactly as planned." After another week of negotiations, the final agreement was reached. The investors, eager to relieve themselves of the restaurant's financial burdens, signed over their shares, giving Hannah full ownership. The contract was finalized without them ever realizing that the new owner of La Lumiere was the same woman they had dismissed so callously. With the deal complete, Hannah prepared herself for the next step. She would return to the restaurant, but this time, not as a guest. She was now the one who controlled its future. The following evening, Hannah stepped through the doors of La Lumiere once again. This time, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who belonged there. Not as a guest, but as the new owner. The same receptionist who had denied her entry now looked at her with wide eyes, clearly not recognizing Hannah, but sensing an undeniable authority in her presence. "I'm here to meet with the management team," Hannah said simply, her voice calm yet firm. The receptionist, flustered, nodded and quickly led her to a private meeting room where the restaurant's management awaited. They had been informed that the establishment had a new owner, but were not prepared for the woman who now entered the room with an air of quiet command. Hannah stood at the head of the table, her gaze sweeping over the team, including the manager who had so quickly dismissed her on her previous visit. She took a breath, then began, her voice steady and composed. "My name is Hannah Kim," she announced, allowing her identity to sink in. "I am the new owner of La Lumiere." Her eyes moved slowly across the room, watching the faces of the staff as shock registered on each one. The manager's face went pale. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, clearly struggling to process the reality that the woman he had brushed aside was now his employer. "I know that some of you are surprised," Hannah continued, her tone unwavering. "I want to assure you that while I value excellence and tradition, I do not tolerate prejudice or exclusion. From today onward, La Lumiere will be known not only for its food, but for its inclusivity." She paused, letting her words resonate. "There will be changes, significant ones. We will implement policies that ensure every customer feels welcome, no matter their background, appearance, or social status. Discrimination, in any form, will not be tolerated. The room was silent. Some staff members exchanged uneasy glances, while others nodded, sensing the fairness and strength in Hannah's approach. For many of them, this was a welcome change, but for others, particularly those who prided themselves on maintaining an elitist clientele, this shift was uncomfortable. Hannah continued, "I'm bringing in diversity and inclusion experts to retrain all staff members, including management. Those who cannot or will not accept these changes are free to leave. My vision for La Lumiere is one of excellence that does not come at the cost of respect and equality." The manager, finally finding his voice, cleared his throat and spoke up, though his tone was hesitant. "Ms. Kim, we've always maintained a certain standard here. Expanding our customer base might affect our image." Hannah met his gaze directly. "I am aware of the standards you've maintained, and that is precisely what will change. La Lumiere will be a place of luxury and welcome, not of exclusion. If you cannot support this vision, I will understand if you choose to move on." Realizing he had no choice, the manager nodded, visibly humbled. Hannah's message was clear. She was not here to simply own a restaurant. She was here to transform it. As Hannah began implementing her reforms, she encountered both open and subtle resistance. Some longtime staff members clung to old habits, treating certain customers with more warmth while eyeing others with suspicion. But Hannah remained vigilant. Every staff member underwent rigorous diversity and inclusion training, and Hannah made it clear that the new culture was non-negotiable. A few employees, including the former manager, chose to leave rather than adapt to the new policies. Hannah replaced them with individuals who shared her vision for inclusivity, people who valued respect and professionalism over elitism. Despite the challenges, Hannah pressed forward. She launched a new promotional campaign, inviting patrons from all backgrounds to experience the refined cuisine and hospitality of La Lumiere. The campaign resonated widely, drawing in a diverse clientele eager to experience luxury dining in a welcoming environment. As the restaurant's clientele expanded, La Lumiere began to gain media attention. Stories about Hannah's acquisition and her commitment to inclusivity spread, painting her as a trailblazer, challenging the norms of luxury dining. With time, La Lumiere blossomed under Hannah's leadership. The once exclusive restaurant became a celebrated beacon of diversity and equality. Patrons from all walks of life dined side by side, united by their appreciation for fine cuisine and respectful service. Hannah's vision had come to life. The media hailed Hannah as a revolutionary figure in the hospitality industry. News outlets covered her story, and she began receiving invitations to speak at conferences and panels on business ethics and diversity in high-end services. Through her work, Hannah inspired other establishments to reconsider their practices, proving that inclusivity and luxury could coexist. Months later, as Hannah sat in her office overlooking the vibrant dining area of La Lumiere, she reflected on her journey. She had turned a place that had once excluded her into a symbol of equality. Her story had transcended a single restaurant. It had sparked a movement. As Hannah watched a young couple be seated, one she might not have seen welcomed here in the past, she knew that she had created something lasting. La Lumiere was now a place that represented progress and unity, not division. Hannah smiled, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. She had not only taken a stand against discrimination, but had built a legacy that would outlast her, a legacy that proved that change was possible when met with resilience and conviction. And as Hannah rose from her desk to join May and her new guests, she knew that she would carry this mission forward, transforming not only her world, but the worlds of countless others who deserved a seat at the table. As Hannah settled into her role as owner and visionary of La Lumiere, she began to contemplate the impact she could make beyond the restaurant's walls. Her journey from rejection to ownership had not only been about a single establishment, it had sparked a vision for change on a much larger scale. She saw an opportunity to transform the luxury service industry itself, reshaping the way people viewed and experienced high-end dining. Hannah called May into her office one morning, a determined look in her eyes. "I want to expand this idea. May, she said, her voice resolute. What we've done here at La Lumiere can be replicated, not just in other restaurants, but in hotels, resorts, and any space where luxury has been limited to the privileged few. May nodded, her face brightening with excitement. Are you thinking of acquiring more businesses? Hannah nodded slowly, already envisioning the path ahead. I want to create a brand, a network of luxury spaces that are inclusive by design, places where everyone feels welcome, regardless of who they are or where they come from. Each establishment will uphold the highest standards of service and quality, but it will also stand as a symbol of equality. With her mind set on this new goal, Hannah began assembling a team of experts in hospitality, diversity training, and management. She reached out to well-known chefs, architects, and leaders in the luxury industry who shared her vision of redefining exclusivity. She wanted her brand to represent not just luxury, but also a commitment to social progress. To bring her vision to life, Hannah decided to launch a new brand, Essence by Hannah, which would embody the principles of inclusive luxury. She worked tirelessly with her team to create a brand identity that was both sophisticated and welcoming, designed to appeal to a diverse clientele while maintaining the elegance associated with high-end experiences. The slogan for Essence by Hannah was simple but powerful: luxury for all. Hannah held a launch event to introduce her new brand to the world. Journalists, influencers, and industry leaders filled the sleek event space, curious to learn more about this new approach to luxury. As Hannah took the stage, she felt a familiar surge of nerves but quickly steadied herself. She had spent her life preparing for moments like this, and she knew that her story had the power to inspire. Essence by Hannah is more than a brand, she began, her voice confident and warm. It's a movement. It's a promise that we can create spaces where elegance and inclusivity are not mutually exclusive, where luxury is not defined by who you are, but by the experience itself. We're here to challenge the notion that exclusivity has to mean exclusion. Her speech was met with enthusiastic applause, and the event quickly became the talk of the industry. Many hailed Hannah's initiative as revolutionary, while others were skeptical. Luxury had long been associated with exclusivity, and some questioned whether an inclusive approach would dilute the brand's prestige. Hannah was unfazed. She had built her career by defying expectations and knew that change would come, even if it took time. Her vision was clear, and she was ready to face any challenges that came her way. In the months that followed, Hannah and her team worked tirelessly to bring Essence by Hannah to life. They began by acquiring a series of boutique hotels, restaurants, and lounges in major cities around the world. Each location was carefully selected to represent the brand's values, and each was renovated to reflect a welcoming, elegant atmosphere. At each new location, Hannah implemented the same rigorous standards that had transformed La Lumiere. Every staff member underwent training focused on inclusivity and respect, ensuring that each guest received an exceptional experience. Hannah's presence and influence were felt at each establishment, even if she couldn't be physically present. As Essence by Hannah expanded, word of the brand's unique approach spread quickly. It wasn't long before high-profile guests and influential figures began visiting the establishments, drawn not only by the luxurious experience, but also by the values the brand represented. Guests appreciated the unpretentious, welcoming atmosphere, and Essence by Hannah quickly earned a reputation as a brand that made everyone feel like they belonged. Hannah knew that she was onto something meaningful. Her brand was reshaping the narrative of luxury, creating spaces that were both elegant and egalitarian. As the network of establishments grew, so did the support from her customers, many of whom had felt excluded from high-end experiences in the past. Despite her success, Hannah faced resistance from traditionalists within the luxury industry. Established brands viewed her approach as a threat to the exclusive allure they had cultivated for decades. Some critics accused her of watering down the luxury experience, claiming that inclusivity was incompatible with high-end standards. One particular critic, a renowned luxury brand owner, publicly questioned her model, suggesting that true luxury was meant to be exclusive and inaccessible to the masses. He argued that by making luxury more accessible, Hannah was diminishing its value. Hannah responded with poise and clarity, both in interviews and in statements. Luxury isn't defined by exclusion, she said during an interview on a popular news channel. Luxury is about providing an extraordinary experience. At Essence by Hannah, we believe that everyone deserves a chance to experience beauty, excellence, and elegance without the barriers of prejudice or discrimination. We're not diluting luxury, we're redefining it. Her response resonated with a growing audience, and Hannah's brand continued to gain popularity, attracting supporters who appreciated her vision for a more inclusive world. As Essence by Hannah continued to thrive, Hannah became a celebrated figure in the luxury and hospitality industries. Her journey from being turned away at an exclusive restaurant to owning a global network of high-end establishments was seen as a triumph over adversity. She had not only challenged the status quo, but had also created a new paradigm that encouraged others to rethink what luxury could mean. Hannah also used her success to give back to the community. She established scholarships for young people from underrepresented backgrounds, offering them opportunities to pursue careers in hospitality and management. She partnered with organizations to fund programs that promoted diversity and inclusion across industries, ensuring that her legacy would extend far beyond her own brand. One day, while visiting La Lumiere, Hannah watched as a diverse group of guests enjoyed their meals in the restaurant she had once been refused entry to. She noticed a young girl with her family, marveling at the elegant surroundings, her eyes wide with wonder. Hannah felt a sense of deep satisfaction, knowing that she had helped create a space where everyone could feel welcome. May joined her at the table, smiling as she took in the vibrant, welcoming atmosphere. "Look at what you've built," May said, pride evident in her voice. "You've changed so many lives." "Hannah, not just in this restaurant, but everywhere." Hannah nodded, a gentle smile on her face. "This is just the beginning. May, there's still so much to do, but I'm grateful for every step of this journey. I wanted to make a difference, and seeing all these people here, enjoying themselves without judgment, it's worth everything." As they left the restaurant, Hannah felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that her work was far from over, but she was more determined than ever to continue creating spaces of elegance, respect, and inclusivity. Her legacy was one of resilience, vision, and unwavering belief in the value of equality, a legacy that would inspire generations to come. Years later, Essence by Hannah had grown into a global brand with locations in cities across the world. The brand had become synonymous with excellence and inclusivity, and Hannah was widely recognized as a pioneer who had transformed the luxury industry. Her establishments were featured in major travel and lifestyle magazines, praised not only for their beauty and quality, but for the warmth and openness they offered. Hannah's story inspired countless others, especially young entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds who had once felt that spaces like hers were beyond their reach. She became a sought-after speaker, sharing her journey and encouraging others to challenge societal norms and pursue their own visions. As Hannah approached retirement, she reflected on her achievements with a sense of fulfillment. She knew that her journey hadn't just been about building a successful business. It had been about creating a movement. She had shown the world that luxury could be inclusive, that excellence could embrace diversity, and that true success lay in lifting others up. In her final public address as CEO of Essence by Hannah, Hannah spoke to a crowd of supporters, friends, and admirers. "I've always believed that everyone deserves respect, kindness, and the chance to experience beauty," she said, her voice full of gratitude. "We may come from different backgrounds, but we all share the desire to belong, to be valued. Essence by Hannah is my gift to everyone who has ever felt excluded. May it continue to inspire, to welcome, and to remind us all that we are worthy." With those words, Hannah passed the torch to a new generation of leaders within her company, confident that her legacy would endure. She had built something far greater than a brand. She had built a movement, a testament to the power of resilience, compassion, and the courage to create change. And as Hannah stepped down, she knew that Essence by Hannah would continue to thrive, carrying forward her vision of a world where luxury and inclusivity walked hand in hand, and where everyone, regardless of their background, had a seat at the table.